Once upon a time, in the peaceful lands of Cross River State, where the air is thick with the breath of mangroves and rainforests, there flows a river the elders call Idim Inyang, the lazy river. It's not lazy because it's weak, it's lazy because it moves slowly, deliberately, as if it's thinking deep thoughts. This river begins its long journey from the distant Cameroonian mountains, winding through forests older than any name we know, until it finally merges with the great Atlantic Ocean, where all waters return to a profound silence. Along its ancient banks lived a small community, fishermen, traders, families whose entire lives were woven into the rhythm of the river. It gave them water to drink and fish to eat. But the river was also cruel. Canoes would suddenly capsize. Precious goods would sink into its murky depths, children playing near the shore would vanish, and even the strongest men were swallowed by its currents. The river that gave them life also dealt them death. Whispers of fear turned into certainties. The river is cursed. They said, the river hates us, it's evil. Fear became the air they breathed, a heavy fog that settled over the village, until one man, his heart heavy with grief, refused to accept fear as the final answer. His name is lost to time, but his courage is not. One evening, after the river had claimed yet another life, this man walked alone to the water's edge. The moon cast a pale, sorrowful light on the rippling surface. He knelt down, his knees sinking into the damp earth. He reached out and touched the cool, dark water, and with a voice choked with pain, he cried out, "You are supposed to give us life. You are supposed to bring us wealth. You are supposed to carry us, not bury us. Why do you take so much from us?" And for the first time, the river answered, not with a sound that could be heard by the ears, but with a wave of understanding that washed over his spirit. The river spoke directly to his soul. "If you honor me," it seemed to say, "I will honor you. If you disrespect me, I will disrespect you. We do not beg humans to remember us. We only respond to those who come willingly." The man, still kneeling, his hand trembling in the water, replied in his heart, "We didn't know. You never told us." The river's silent voice was clear and powerful. Spirits do not announce themselves. They reveal themselves only to those who listen. In that moment, a profound truth was understood. It wasn't about a curse. It was about connection. It wasn't about hatred. It was about neglect. From that day forward, everything changed. The man and his family built a small, humble altar by the riverbank. It wasn't a shrine built from fear, but a table set for a friend. They brought offerings, a little palm wine, a share of their food, and the most important gifts of all, prayers and gratitude. They weren't trying to appease a monster. They were building a relationship. And then something impossible began to happen. The crocodiles, those ancient reptiles feared as creatures of death, started to respond. They would rise gently from the depths, their powerful bodies moving with an unnerving calm. They would walk onto the land, right up to the altar, and accept the food that was left for them. Not a single person was ever harmed. The fear that had gripped the village for so long began to melt away, replaced by a quiet awe. Soon after, the miracles began. Whenever a canoe capsized in the swift current, the crocodiles, instead of attacking, would carefully guide the struggling people to the safety of the shore. Whenever a child accidentally fell into the water, one of these mighty guardians would lift the small body onto its back and carry it back to its frantic parents. When the current tried to drag someone away, a crocodile would appear, a living shield against the river's pull, returning them alive and unharmed. A new covenant was sealed, not with words, but with actions. From that generation onward, a remarkable peace settled over the community. No one drowned in the lazy river again. The river transformed from a taker of life into a protector. The crocodile, once a symbol of death, became a guardian angel. Death itself became a distant memory. But time is a river of its own, and it washes away memories. As easily as it erodes the land, generations passed. The old man who first spoke to the water died, then his children, then his grandchildren. The story of the covenant was told less and less, its edges softened by time until it sounded more like a fairy tale than a history. The new generations, full of modern ideas and skepticism, laughed at the old ways. "It's just superstition," they scoffed, "a myth to scare children. Crocodiles are just animals, they don't make deals." They saw the rituals not as a sacred duty but as a foolish waste of time, and so they abandoned the altar, they stopped the offerings, they broke the covenant without ever bothering to understand what it was they were breaking, and slowly, quietly, without any grand announcement, the river began to take again. Canoes started capsizing. Once more, people drowned, children disappeared from the banks. The crocodiles were still there, but they no longer rescued anyone. They would simply watch from a distance, their ancient eyes reflecting the tragedies with a cold indifference. The river returned to its deep, impenetrable silence. The miracles stopped. The protection was gone. Now, this story isn't really about a river or crocodiles. It's about our relationship with the unseen world, with the forces we don't understand. Spirits, truth, wisdom, they don't force themselves upon us. They don't beg for followers or chase after the arrogant. They simply exist, waiting to be recognized. The river never demanded worship. It only asked for recognition. The people didn't lose their protection because the river suddenly turned evil. They lost it because they became forgetful. They traded a sacred relationship for a cheap sense of superiority. And here lies the deepest lesson of all, a truth as profound as the river itself. What you do not understand, do not fight. What you have not studied, do not mock. And what once saved your ancestors, do not abandon so lightly, because some agreements aren't written in books or carved in stone. They are written in memory, in ritual, and in the quiet language of respect. And when those are lost, the spirits do not punish. They simply withdraw. Thanks for watching.